Welcome to Talking Giants, presented by DraftKings. I'm your host, Bobby Skinner, here with my co-host, Justin Pennick. A lot to get to. Not what we wanted to get to. We are really hoping this would be a Giants sign Kenny Golladay episode, but instead it's going to be the Giants sign Kyle Rudolph, Ifeadi Odenigbo, Mike Glennon, and Reggie Ragland episode. Justin, how are you?
Biggest piece of news. I'm going to tell you right now. Biggest piece of news, especially in Bobby Skinner's life. Good chance that NFL football will no longer be on DirecTV. Can we have a round of applause?
Is that true?
Yeah, the whole ESPN Plus is going to be taking over for Sunday Ticket. Now, is that like officially announced? It is announced that ESPN Plus is like taking over something, but is it taking over NFL Sunday Ticket? I don't exactly know. And so much for, the NFL's in trouble cap-wise. I'm pretty sure this new TV contract is like double what it was before. So there you go.
Cool stuff.
We can spend.
Stuff. All right, so we're going to get into all this stuff. First, the episode was brought to you by 5 special people. We got Sean Charles. That's an average name, but a really solid name. Sean.
No
Charles.
relation to James Charles.
Okay, you know what? I felt racist today. You want to know why? Because there's a name that is Hari Nair, and then I was like, this isn't his real name. And then I was like, you know what? It's a name of a region. I don't know what this guy's nationality is. I just assumed that it was a made up name. I felt like racist when I was writing this guy's envelope, Hari Nair. Then we got Andy Hadaz. Last name finishes with an S and a Z, which always throws you for a loop. Ryan Mashizek, I'm pretty sure I got that. Ryan Machine Gun. And then Brian Kane, more Kane. Justin, who are these people?
These wonderful people, they went to patreon.com/talkinggiants. Guess what? Kenny Golladay signed with Giants today. I'm saying it. I'm like 70% certain. And the reason why no, you want to know what? I'm 74% certain because Jordan Raanan is 70% certain. So I'm 74% certain. So you're going to want to hang out with us on a Friday night when we're talking Kenny Golladay being a New York Football Giant. So patreon.com/talkinggiants, $2 a month. Hang out with us and watch us during the live streams. Bobby gives you magnets. Bobby may even personally deliver you the magnets and stickers and just put them straight on your forehead.
Free T-shirt raffle on Saturday too. For the we do those once every 2 weeks. So I was just whenever I get paid, we do a shirt raffle. So that'll be doing that on Saturday.
We gonna get a Kenny Golladay shirt?
I need to talk to you about that after the show because I was gonna, you know what? That's personal. We'll talk about it after the show. All right, just Kenny Golladay, obviously meeting with the Giants as you're probably listening to this episode. I don't want to spend too much time on this because we're gonna know what's gonna happen soon, and we have a lot of actual New York Giants at the time to talk about. I'll just say I am going to be really disappointed if we don't get him. And you know us, we're not the kind of people like every year it's like, go get the best free agents. You got to get the best free agents no matter what. Like we understand that, free agency isn't fantasy land. But with all that has went down and went through, I will now be extremely disappointed. If Kenny Golladay signed on Monday at 9:00 with, the Cincinnati Bengals, and be like, oh man, I wanted him, but we get it. Now I would be full-blown just like depressed if we don't get Kenny Golladay.
Well, we approach this free agency saying that, Giants are going to make the smart and savvy move. Basically kind of like what they're doing right now. You would maybe think that they would have made a little bit more of a splash move, like a mid-tier guy, like a Aguilar, like a Corey Davis, like a Curtis Samuels, something like that. But what they're doing right now is the smart and savvy moves, especially extending Leonard Williams was big. So we're like, okay, this free agency, it's going kind of according to plan and we're going to build through the draft, right? But now since Kenny Golladay has been waved in our face for days, and there's been signs continually, even going back to the trade deadline, when the Giants were 1-7, Dave Gettleman actually picked up the phone to see what they could possibly get for Kenny Golladay, which is wild. But I compare it to almost being like a kid at a candy store or a kid at a toy store, right? Where our parents are just waving this right in front of our face. You want this? I'm going to get this for you. I'm going to get it for you. You just wait like 10 more minutes. You just wait 20 more minutes. You just wait 5 more minutes. I'm going to get it for you. And then if it does happen, worst case scenario, right? It's like, no, we're freaking leaving. Get in the car. And it will be harsh, and we will, that would be terrible.
It's
Our
like,
hearts will be broken.
Deep Thoughts with Jack Handy. It's like kids love jokes. It's like one time I took my nephew, I told him we were going to Disneyland, and I took him to a burnt down warehouse. He said, "Oh no, Disneyland burnt down." And he's like, and he cried and cried, and then it was getting late, so we went home. That's what it would be like for Giants fans.
Yeah.
It's like we basically have been told we're getting Kenny Golladay without being told we're getting Kenny Golladay. And if we don't at this point, it's going to be like Disneyland, like expecting to go to Disneyland, and Disneyland being a burnt down warehouse.
Can I say something though?
Say something. This is a podcast, so
yeah.
I am snippy and snappy today. I am.
We're both tired. I don't know. I mean, I think you can tell kind of like in our tone of voices that we're kind of tired. I do 2 jobs. Bobby has been grinding like crazy, especially on the YouTube. Go check out those
grinding.
Go check out those free agency breakdowns. So you could probably tell in our tone of voice that we're kind of tired. We always try to record late at night, so if any news breaks, we just don't miss it. What am I trying to say? This week has probably been very, very well, not probably. It has been kind of very, very fun because everybody is waiting for this one thing to happen together. Versus, like, let's say if it just happens day one, and then the Giants make these like smart and savvy moves afterwards. There's not as much hype because it's, Kenny Golladay was the one moment. No, but the fact that we signed John Ross and the fact that we signed Obi-Wan Kenobi, Akuna Matata, the defensive lineman from Minnesota, and we signed Reggie Ragland from Detroit. It's like, oh, look, this smart and savvy move, but Kenny Golladay is coming. Kenny Golladay is coming. So it's just this built-up excitement, which I really hope it ends in Kenny Golladay, but it's made every single other little part of this journey more enjoyable until the end of the big journey is decided.
It's the opposite of Tuesday, where Tuesday we're waiting to figure out like the resolution to the Leonard Williams, and then the Giants sign a fullback, and it's like, you scumbag New York Giants, you guys signed a fullback for the minimum to battle, and like people are making a big deal out of nothing. Where now it's like the Giants could extend Nate Solder for 5 more years for $50 million a year, and everyone would be like, okay, but we're going to resign Kenny Golladay.
Yeah,
like
right.
The exact opposite effect.
And good for them. Good for the Giants, by the way, because we were critiquing them, and it still is kind of like a valid critique of, you're kind of overpaying Austin Johnson a little bit. You're definitely overpaying Devontae Booker. So good for them that they have had a couple signings, and now it's been, Wednesday and Thursday. It's been 2 days of signings where we're looking at this. We're like, yeah, this is good value with Ross and all the other moves that they've made since then, and including today. And we're gonna break it all down, Bobby Skinner. But hoping that we record an episode Friday night talking about Kenny Golladay, and will this be like our first?
I kind of hope it lasts till Sunday, so we could just do a Monday episode.
I agree.
But that's not going to happen.
We get more nervous. I think we get a little bit more nervous time if that happens. But would this be like the first Talking Giants episode in history of being like a Friday night, Saturday?
Yes, because I am very anti putting a podcast out on the weekend. I think putting a podcast out on the weekend is dumb. But this would be a must. We would have to do it. So hopefully it goes out to Sunday to where people get depressed, and then they to totally bring us back in. All right, let's talk about the guys the New York Giants have signed, and I bet you a lot of people are gonna be listening to this when Kenny Golladay has been signed. And let's start with Kyle Rudolph. Justin, the Giants signed Kyle Rudolph, 6'6", 265-pound, 31-year-old tight end. The contract is 2 years, up to $14 million. Unfortunately, we haven't gotten the real details of that. Obviously, it's going to be incentive laden. It just will be. Some raw numbers. Last year, he had 28 catches, 334 yards, and a touchdown, was split in reps with Irv Smith. 2019, 39 catches, 367 yards, 6 touchdowns. And then in 2018, 64 catches, 634 yards, and 4 touchdowns. Justin, this is a good signing, but also a very, very confusing signing because it is tight end. And we thought tight end was the one position that we weren't going to even look at once Levine Toilolo was restructured.
At least not until the draft, right? Obviously that was the thought. Evan Ingram is on his 5th-year option. Do the Giants want to do something at tight end in the draft, where you can possibly have a guy for 4 years. And at this 4 or 5 years, where Pitts would be a 5-year option, and then Freiermuth would possibly be a second round pick, right? So Kyle Rudolph, I don't want to immediately start talking about Evan Ingram because we kind of want to talk about Kyle Rudolph as a player. And Bobby, I kind of want to let you do that. You did the film breakdown, but here are just some things that I have. 75%, 81%, 75% catch rate, respectively, the last 3 seasons. He's had 4 seasons of 90+ targets. So sure, he has taken a very sudden, deep decline in his ability as a receiver, but I still think he has a pretty good ability, overall as a tight end. He averaged 12 yards per reception in 2020, 1 drop in the last 3 seasons. I mean, I think that's the most kind of key thing here, looking at the catch rate, and then looking at 1 drop in the last 3 seasons. And that's going to be the thing that everybody's just going to go to, because Evan Ingram is, playing hot potato and volleyball, but putting the ball up in the air. 5.9 yards after the catch per reception in 2020 as well, which, does that tell me that maybe he's a little bit of, check down guy and then he gets yards after the catch? Yes. But that's also, that's not bad. If you're getting, 12 yards.
That's always been kind of who he is, though, too.
Yeah.
And they added Irv Smith. They really got Irv Smith involved more this past year.
Yeah. So I don't think it's a hot take, and you let me know if I'm wrong, Bobby, and I'll let you kind of talk about him, especially as a blocker. Maybe we'll start talking about him as a red zone target, because I think that's where he may be most valuable, and that's where he's going to bring the most value. Is it a hot take to say that Kyle Rudolph is the best pure tight end on the Giants roster right now? Like pure tight end, not talking about athlete, football player, pure tight end.
I think so, man. And this, we'll do some separate Evan Ingram talk, but it's like, if Evan Ingram was picked in the 5th round, I don't think we'd be having this conversation. It's because Evan Ingram was picked in the 1st round, and he is kind of like really involved in the offense and stuff. But you mentioned like the passing game. He's a solid receiver. Nothing special, but he's going to run his routes right. He's going to be smart. Like, we talked about the why stick so much last offseason because of Jason Witten. He's going to run that correctly. Talk red zone threat. Everybody says, if a guy's 6'3" or taller, they're like, oh, guy's a red zone threat. And it's like, are they though? Like, is Jeff Swaim a red zone threat? Is Evan Ingram a red zone threat? Like, I don't view Evan Ingram as a red zone threat.
No.
Kyle Rudolph is that. He is the type of guy, you're at the 3-yard line, you throw the ball up high at the back of the end zone, and he pulls it down. And I broke down the film of that. Like, he is a true red zone threat. And if you're struggling to think of times because you didn't watch a lot of Vikings games, think about that Saints playoff game in 2019. He does that consistently. So there you have that in the receiving game. But even underneath, he's solid. Like, it's solid. And he's a good blocker. He's a good run blocker. It's not like George Kittle, like, blow you off the ball. Like, guy could be a freaking tackle blocker, but he's a good blocker. And that sets himself up for Yak because, the Vikings would do all these, outside zone play action stuff, and they're trusting his block, and he'd do a block and release to be wide open, and he'd have 10, 12 yards to run in front of him. And good hands. One drop in the last 3 years. You shared that stat. I stole that from you. 1 drop in the last 3 years. That's crazy with a good catch radius. I do think unless he's really fallen off with age, I do think he's better than Evan Ingram.
Something that I found to be quite interesting, and I think I saw Nick Filato do this a little bit too. You might have done it in your film breakdown, but Jordan Ronan came on our podcast and said the Giants want to run an outside zone scheme. Like, he said it, and that kind of shocked us because they were so bad at it. It's like they want to do it, and they were so bad at it. And if you really think about it, the personnel out there, the idealistic personnel is, you have 3 wide receivers out there. So in this case right now, it would be Sterling Shepard, Darius Slayton. Let's say John Ross is the 3rd one because Kenny Golladay is an official. And then Evan Ingram is your tight end, right? It's not idealistic to have Evan Ingram on the end of the line of scrimmage blocking for outside zone plays with Saquon Barkley.
No, you can't do it.
Ideal.
You can't do it with Evan Ingram.
But they did it in Minnesota, like Dalvin Cook, Kevin Stefanski. You talked about that in your breakdown. And then also something that the Giants do very well is that counter play. where basically you have, this is Caden Smith's main role, what he did. Caden Smith would like pull across the line of scrimmage. He would be a lead blocker. He would almost be like a fullback, except he would do it from like the tight end spot at the line of scrimmage. And he would come across the line of scrimmage, go across, all the way through a hole and take out a linebacker, take out whoever is like kind of in that hole in that spot. So Kyle Rudolph does that well, right?
Yeah, really well. I think he's more of like a straight up blocker, but like you said, he does that well. And now, I do think it's going to set up some outside zone for Saquon. Like, I do think this is more of a Saquon hire than it is Daniel Jones hire. But that even turns into Daniel Jones, where you run that outside, you set up that play action. Look what it did for Baker Mayfield. Look at Kirk Cousins. When that outside zone is working and the play action is working off of it, that's when Kirk Cousins is at his best. That's when the Vikings are at his best. So I don't think that's Daniel Jones type, but it's like he's totally capable of that. Like that's basically as easy as a system to run, I think, in the NFL.
Yeah.
Like I think that's the easiest if it works. If you can run outside like that and have teams where like, hey, we got to get our linebackers out and going, or we're going to give up 40, 50-yard gains in the run. That is a very easy system to run. So I would like to do that a little bit. I don't want that to turn it into our whole system. But anyways, long story short, I do think it'll help the running game. And you could even do it with Evan Ingram on the field. You just have him as the backside tight end.
Yeah. Yeah. So let's actually get to Evan Ingram here. Because Bobby, this is a decent.
Well, let's just get to the tight end group as a whole.
Yeah, this is a decent sized deal, Bobby.
Well, let's talk about it. Kyle Rudolph just signed a contract that's 2 years up to $14 million. Now, we don't know all the details, but this contract could end up being $7 million. Caden Smith played 50% of the snaps last year when he was active. The one COVID game. He's on a rookie contract. I don't think they're going to cut him. Levine Toilolo, who played less than Caden Smith. So that means they think Levine Toilolo is not as good or important as Caden Smith. And Levine Toilolo is old. Caden Smith is young. So one's not going to get better. Caden Smith is going to get better. They restructured his contract with zero dead cap. And it's not like they went into free agency like, you know what, let's go get a tight end. Like they knew what they were doing all along.
They did it. Wasn't there the rumor? And this is not a rumor from an unverified account. This is a rumor that did come from, Jordan Ronan, the beat reporters, that Giants were in with Hunter Henry.
Yeah. So this was a plan. Like this wasn't just random. This was a plan. And so with that plan in mind, they restructured Levine Toilolo's contract with zero dead cap to add six, and one, it's not even like he's taking the minimum. He's not taking the minimum. He's getting paid $1.6 million with $650,000 guaranteed when none was guaranteed for this year. Right. They just should have cut him. So, and then now you have Evan Ingram, who's on a $6 million guaranteed deal. Now it's zero dead cap if they were to trade him. Supposedly that this has no impact on Evan Ingram. But to me, it's like, are they bluffing or what? Because it just would make sense to trade Evan Ingram now. He's on the last year of his deal. Are they going to bring him back? It's, if you do trade him, it basically makes this, this Kyle Rudolph contract free. If not, save a little money, depending on playing time and stuff. It would just make sense. I just feel like it would make sense. Evan Ingram was not good last year. I understand that, the drops aren't going to be as bad, but there's still an issue. Like those aren't just going to magically go away with Evan Ingram.
In a bizarre world, I think I can see these two players together. Now, here's the ultimate reality, though. Here's the ultimate reality. I feel like every year we hype up a tight end too. Every year. We hyped up Red Ellison. He wasn't that good of a player.
I never hyped. Who hyped up Red Ellison?
I did because I thought that he could be used as a fullback. I thought that he could be used this, Pat connection with Pat Shurmur, blah, 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 blah. We hyped up Caden Smith going into this year. Ooh, can Caden Smith have like a Martellus Bennett type of year when he was number 2 with Jason Witten? And it was like, no, that clearly was not the case.
See, you're putting words in my mouth. I never said he's going to be Martellus Bennett, but I'm a big fan of Caden Smith still. Like I would have been fine going into this year with Caden Smith as tight end 1.
No, but I'm saying we put these expectations on tight end 2s. Like the performance that a tight end 2 can actually bring in terms of the box score, the stat sheet, how many catches they bring in, how many yards they're bringing in. And when in reality, even though Caden Smith played 50% of the snaps, I mean, why do I feel like his stat sheet, his
18
stat
catches.
line,
Yeah, he's not
his stat line was
tight end two's
better.
not gonna have a ton of stats.
But his stat line was better in 2019 when he played just a few games. But what I'm saying is, even though I'm saying to myself right now, I can see in a bizarre world Rudolph and Ingram fitting together in some sort of idealistic world. I don't think that's a reality, because are we really going to pay are we really going to pay like $7 million to your number 2 tight end? I don't really think you are. And Bobby, I did a little breakdown. I'm going to be putting this on the socials today. I did a little breakdown of the snaps played by Evan Ingram the first half of the season to the second half of the season, and then also where he lined up. Because I had a theory that Evan Ingram towards the second half of the season was lining up more out wide as a wide receiver in the slot or on the outside compared to the inside. And that theory was ultimately wrong. Now, the Giants did do a pretty solid job of bringing down his total snap share and his snap count as the year went on, which I proposed the Giants did that like week 1. I was like, why is Evan Ingram going to be playing over 90% of the snaps when he's a liability in the run game, and we have 2 capable backup tight ends that could be a strength in the run game? And they screwed themselves first half of the season. So first half of the season, weeks 1 through 8, he played 85.8% of the snaps. And then weeks 9 through 17, he played 78% of the snaps. If you exclude week 11, he played 76.4% of the snaps. And week 11 was against Cincinnati, where he played 96% of the snaps. So there was a point where basically 1 out of every 4 plays, Evan Ingram would not be on the football field. Now, this is where I was wrong. Weeks 1 through 8, Evan Ingram on the offensive line in line had 222 total snaps. Out wide, he had 210. That's pretty even, weeks 1 through 8. Weeks 9 through 17, my theory was, Evan Ingram started to be used in some different ways. I thought he was going to have more snaps out wide, or it was going to be maybe a lot more closer to what it was than definitely what it was. He actually had more inline snaps weeks 9 through 17, 228 versus 222 weeks 1 through 8. And out wide, it went down to 173. So he lost from the first half of the season to the second half of the season. He lost, that's 27, 36. He lost 37 total snaps from the final 8 games to the first 8 games of lining out wide. So with that theory that I had of thinking Kyle Rudolph can be the tight end that lines up inside, and then Evan Ingram can just be lining up wherever out wide, I don't think it's going to work based off of how they used him in the second half of the season.
Well, it can work. Like, it's not like a Kyle Rudolph and Evan Ingram don't work together. You can make it work. I know everyone's going to make the Gronk and Hernandez comparison to every tight end, where it's one big white guy and then one, speedy guy. It's not the same. Evan Ingram's not as good as Hernandez, and Rudolph isn't as good as Gronk. So it's I mean, neither are even close, to be honest. So I just don't see them being like, we are going to just pound 2 tight ends, like a 2 tight end system. And again, if Evan Ingram's a starter, say Evan Ingram's a starter, are paying Rudolph this much money to be the backup like that? I don't know. Maybe it's really just, it's so much incentive based that we're looking too much into this contract.
And I'm not even critiquing it, by the way. I haven't really seen a lot of people critiquing it.
No.
Again, it's just we're questioning.
We're trying to figure out how they're going to make this work with these 4 guys, because if you would have said 2 weeks ago, you'd be like, just cut Levine Toilolo, 0 dead cap. But when they had getting a tight end in mind, and they restructured it to put guaranteed money. And I just don't see them moving on from Caden Smith, who they played more than Levine Toilolo, who's on a rookie contract, and it doesn't save them any money. It's like, are we going to run 4? Are we going to have 4 tight ends? And if we are going to have 4 tight ends, what was the why was there such a emphasis to make sure Levine Toilolo's still on the team? And we were both big, not big fans, but fans of the Levine Toilolo restructure. Like, it makes sense. They use him.
Yeah. But
now it's just like, I'm it's not my job to fully know what they're going to do with, how they're going to do this work, but at this point, I'm trying to figure out what they're going to do. And to me, it's like, I would think that Ingram gets traded, and I wouldn't believe that he's not going to get traded until the day after the draft.
Giants only have 6 draft picks this year. And for a team that is still kind of rebuilding that's not great. So if you get a third, fourth round pick for Evan Ingram, that could be their thought process. But also, you said something before where this Kyle Rudolph signing isn't necessarily for Daniel Jones. It's more or less for Saquon Barkley. And I mostly agree with that. But also, I hope the Giants are acknowledging the fact that Daniel Jones doesn't use the tight end in like the most dynamic way. And right? Because Daniel Jones uses the tight end as the check down guy. His eyes are going to work his way back down towards the line of scrimmage, and towards the line of scrimmage is going to be where that tight end is going to be. I feel like, Evan Ingram's athleticism doesn't serve him totally well to being the check down option. That Evan Ingram is a guy that you want to get out in space. He's not the best of route runners, so you want to get him moving pre-snap. You want to get momentum under Evan Ingram's footing before he gets the ball in his hands. And when he can do that, the yards after the catch is a very beautiful thing. See the week 3 of the Tampa Bay game last year, right, where he had that 75-yard touchdown. That was an example of that.
When have we felt the best about a Daniel Jones Evan Ingram connection? Evan Ingram on fades and go balls.
Right, and
those are when it's like that. Those are like, oh, you're using Evan Ingram the right way, because Jones, he's a good touch thrower down the field. Ingram, you get him on a safety, linebacker, whatever, and he's going to beat that in a straight line race. He's going to win that, and that's when we've seen like oh wow, Jones and Ingram. But when they're running wide sticks and stuff, that's when it's like, good Lord, this just doesn't work. Whether it's Evan Ingram popping the ball up or Jones throwing it a little behind him, it just hasn't worked that way.
Right. And that's what we saw in that Cincinnati game. And why I thought, like, my theory was, Evan Ingram took a lot more snaps out wide the second half of the season versus the first half of the season. It was because of that kind of moment where I remember Evan Ingram having his most successful moments when he was lining out wide. Like, that's what I remembered. And that may be true. He just didn't do it at such a high rate compared to the first half of the season. So Bobby, ultimately, what the Giants need to ask themselves is Evan Ingram worth keeping around when we're going to really lower his snap share and his snap count? That's what they're going to have to do. If they really want to make Kyle Rudolph kind of the number one tight end, they're going to have to limit Evan Ingram's snap share and his snap count. And especially if they bring on Kenny Golladay is going to be that guy that's going to run those go routes, right? You have Kenny Golladay and Darius Slayton that can go deep down the field and just run those streaks and then go up 1-1. Evan Ingram's not like...
You just guaranteed Kenny Galladay's on the team. I like that.
No, well, did I not say if?
I know, but I just like that. I just accepted it. Like, yeah, Galladay's going to be the deep ball. I don't know.
But,
I didn't blink at it.
So I'm saying, but if he is, then... I feel like Evan Ingram would be the third best deep ball option on this team. I think Slayton would be better at going up 1-on-1, getting those deep balls, and definitely Golladay is the best in the NFL doing it. So Evan Ingram would be not only not the best tight end on the roster, he wouldn't even be the best deep ball option, go up and get it receiver, and he's not even that good of a route runner to begin with. So are we really talking about Evan Ingram on his fifth-year option, severely limiting his snap count? Therefore, if we try to trade him possibly in the middle of the year, what value does he have if the Giants don't value him? It's such a bad situation. Or do you play him for, again, 76% of the snaps, and then you're paying Kyle Rudolph $7 million to be a backup?
Yeah.
Interesting situation.
And I know we're going to get the Joe Judge loves Evan Ingram comments, but think about if you're the head coach and the guy who's kind of despised by a lot of the fans, and people ask about his struggles. What are you going to do? I'm going to make sure that guy feels loved by me. So I just don't buy into the I love Evan. Like I'm not saying he hates him, but I don't think it like those comments are to be like, nope, see, they believe in Evan Ingram. They said that they were, they weren't planning on moving on from Zeitler, and they cut him like a day later.
Yeah.
So that wouldn't be my lone evidence for them keeping Evan Ingram. I do feel bad for Evan Ingram though, dude. Like, you saw he turned his Instagram comments off.
Oh,
that sucks for him. If you do that and listen to us, don't do that. That sucks. Like, he'll post a picture and then people are like, you suck. Catch the damn ball. Learn how to catch. You should be learning how like those people suck.
Yeah, that is sucky.
I feel bad for him. I do
Yeah.
feel bad for him at times because it's like, it's not because, if he was a bad attitude, low effort type
No, he's
of
a
guy.
good guy. He's a great guy.
Yeah. Like, it's just like, dude, if he caught the ball, he would be a fan favorite, and he just doesn't catch it.
Yeah.
Like, if he catches the ball that hits his hands, he's a fan favorite.
Even if he just didn't catch it, but if it just went down on the ground and not up in the air,
it would be less bad, but it still would be bad.
Yeah.
Oh man. All right.
Man.
Let's
Do you want to take a break?
No, not yet. We'll take
Not
a
yet.
break. Actually, you know what? Take a break. You know what? Actually, Justin, I think before we take a break, you should read the ad.
Well, that was kind of what I was insinuating. Do you
Wait,
fill out
actually, no, let's talk. Actually,
Can I
read the
ask
ad.
I want to ask you a question. Do you fill out a bracket?
Yes, I actually did mine yesterday
Oh,
while I was
good.
waiting on Kenny Golladay news.
Today was the first play-in day. I did not see a single result. I feel bad.
The play-in day doesn't count.
Doesn't count. Did Wichita State win?
I don't know.
Oh, bad podcasting.
I didn't bet on them, so.
Well, guess what, Bobby Skinner?
Who do you got winning the Natty?
Gonzaga. I'm just a Jesuit school fan. Okay.
Gonzaga. Who did I put in there? I had Oklahoma State in the finals versus. I don't know. You read the ad, I'll figure out my bracket.
I'm rooting for Georgetown, too. Jesuit school for the win. I love DC. So, Bobby Skinner, guess what? March's biggest tournament is finally here. We do not know who will be cutting down the nets at the end, but we do know that there will be no shortage of madness. DraftKings Sportsbook, America's top-rated sportsbook app, is putting new customers in the center of the action. Bet $4 on an underdog and win $256 if they win. It's that simple. Why 256? I struggle with that because it's such a weird number. I think they're only going to, as I'm reading the ad, I think it's only going to say 200, and then they throw me off with the 50, and then they add the 6 at the end. It's tough. Turning $4 into $256 is 64-1 odds. Every dollar you bet could turn into $64. Too many numbers.
Drexel won.
Replay it if you need to hear it. Excuse me?
Drexel won 53-52.
Drexel. Philly. Pick one of the many select college basketball underdogs for your shot at winning $256. All it takes is a $4 bet. There's no better way to put your college basketball knowledge to the test than to put your money where your mouth is with DraftKings Sportsbook. Don't worry if college basketball isn't for you. DraftKings Sportsbook offers great odds and promotions on golf, hockey, and so much more. Knicks are back. They won. Good for them. DraftKings is safe, secure, and reliable, so you can deposit and withdraw your funds at your convenience. Download the top-rated DraftKings Sportsbook app now and use promo code JOHNBOY when you sign up, and would turn $4 into $256 if the underdog of your choosing pulls off the upset. That's code JOHNBOY to turn $4 into $256 for a limited time only at DraftKings Sportsbook. Must be 21 years or older. New Jersey, Indiana, Pennsylvania only. New customers only. Restrictions apply. See DraftKings.com/sportsbook for details. Gambling problem? Call 1-800-GAMBLER, or in Indiana 1-800-9-WITH-IT.
My final four is Ohio State over Oklahoma State.
Cool.
And then Texas over Gonzaga, and Ohio State over Texas. I don't know enough about like the little games to just pick favorites, because if I pick favorites, I'm gonna lose. So it's like I'm gonna go for I want the gold. I was like, okay, I'm gonna pick a national championship that not everyone's gonna pick. If I pick Gonzaga over Baylor, it's the best chance of me getting the most points for me, but it doesn't give me the best chance of winning the bracket.
Sure. Never done a bracket in my life.
What?
Never.
I just did it too. That what by me? You don't. Dramatic.
You don't listen to 75% of the things I said, but it took you about 5
that
seconds.
Was just such a very dramatic what for something that's like you didn't fill out a bracket. But that is weird that you don't do it.
I'm the type of person where I don't like to half-ass things. If I'm going to talk about something, if I'm going to do something, I need to make sure like I'm in it and I'm doing it. And I don't follow college basketball, so I've never filled out a bracket. I just like being different.
Yeah, you're a weirdo. All right, Justin. Let's talk about somebody. Who are we going to talk about? We're going to talk about, and I learned how to pronounce this guy's name.
I'm never going to.
Ifeadi Odenigbo. Ifeadi Odenigbo. We can just call him Odin for short.
I'm going to call him Obi-Wan Kenobi.
That's going to annoy me. I shouldn't have told you that. Oden, he's 6'3", 258 pounds, 26 years old. In 2020, he had 35 tackles, 3.5 sacks, 3 tackles for a loss on 65% of the snaps. 2019, 23 tackles, 7 sacks, 7 tackles for loss on 34% of the snaps. So if you look at it at 100% of the snaps over the anyways, he gets some sacks.
Yeah.
Justin. I did my film breakdown on him. He's a good pass rusher. He's a solid pass rusher. He's not great. He's not going to blow you away, but he's a good pass rusher. And the thing that sticks out with him, he always keeps his feet moving. Like there's some guys where it's like they do their move, it doesn't work, and they kind of just stand there and are holding an offensive lineman like a steering wheel. He never keeps those feet moving, and then he hits them with spins and counters. So that's how he gets sacks in the pass game. Run defense, he's not great, but he's not horrible. Like he's not going to get blown up. But for someone who plays what is more of a defensive tackle like defensive end, more like a BJ Hill type defensive end, you would think he's better in the run game, but he's not special in it. But he's a good situational pass rusher.
Bobby, he's 6'3", 258. You don't think they allow him to stand up on third down and go after the linebacker?
Not.
For example, Leonard Williams is a defensive end, defensive tackle, right?
He'd play that type of role.
They do allow him to stand up sometimes, and
well, yeah, but when you say stand up, I think of in Patrick Graham's system, somebody who's going to, you don't know if he's going to drop back in coverage or rush the passer. With him, you always know he's coming.
Yeah, that makes sense. And what we spent the majority of the episode talking about Leonard Williams after he got his extension, talking about how important pressure is. And I would rather have a guy with maybe limited sack numbers, but if you get consistent pressure on the quarterback, that is more of a predictive indicator of if you are a good pass rusher, right? So Obi-Wan Kenobi, his advanced game log on Pro Football Reference is pretty scary. It's pretty crazy. So 6 games with at least 3 pressures in 2020. And again, 65% of the snaps. 6 games with at least 3 pressures. 5 games with at least 2 pressures in 2019. And I will give you the final pressure numbers, maybe some of the more advanced numbers. 26 pressures in 2020. That's not bad.
No.
Would that not be second on the Giants in terms of all of their pass rushers? Pretty sure it would. Pretty sure that would be literally second on the team. Quarterback knockdowns, he had 11. There was one game, I believe it was against the Titans, where he had 5 quarterback knockdowns in one game. That's the game that I watched, and I kind of clipped up 12 QB hurries. And then in 2019, where he had more sacks, he had only 18 QB pressures. So even though he had less sacks in 2020, 3.5 sacks, but I almost think, his 2020 may be a little bit more impressive because he added on, actually, no, that's false. He had less snaps in 2019, but more sacks. But Bobby, I think this is a solid depth player that we got for very, very good value. And that's what we challenged the Giants to do heading into this free agency. We got mad at them day one because they didn't do it. But then this signing is probably the most impressive value signing I think they got since the John Ross signing.
Yeah, it's a good signing. But here, we talked about the tight end room being crowded. Leo and Dex, obviously the top 2 guys. We would think BJ Hill third in line. Austin Johnson is the guy who plays nose tackle. We don't have Dalvin anymore. Dex is going to play some nose tackle snaps, but maybe they're planning on him to actually just turn into a nose tackle. Maybe that is something they plan on having Dex do. We'll see. Austin Johnson plays that nose tackle role. Oden, he can play some, he'll play some nose tackle reps, play some 3 technique reps, but for the most part, Minnesota had him playing on the tackle. And then RJ McIntosh, I feel so bad for him. He's I swear he's the best 6th defensive tackle in the NFL. And it ain't even close.
I feel so bad for you because people online that probably don't listen to this show, you tweet about him and they're like, what the hell is wrong with you talking about this dude? And if they don't listen to the show, then you don't know. You don't know how impressive this guy can be. So I do feel bad for you because then you get very hateful and mean comments because you like a player on the Giants.
114 snaps in 2019, 2 sacks, 2 tackles for a loss, 2 QB hits. For reference, Dalvin Tomlinson had 650 snaps. Dude, whenever he plays, he gets production. Look at him
Hmm.
against college versus Quentin Nelson. Quentin Nelson is the best offensive lineman in the NFL. RJ McIntosh may have looked better than him than anybody in the NFL has looked against Quentin Nelson. So it's crazy. And they kept, and it was, you know, remember the conspiracy theory I had in season that it's like the reason they keep him on the roster as a healthy scratch every single game of the season is they know they're moving on from Dalvin and they like him. They want him to be the 5th defensive tackle. So when Dalvin left, I was like, they don't need to replace him. Okay. The replacements are in place. But they go out and get Odin. And so now I don't know who I like better, him or BJ Hill. I can't, it's tough to tell right now. I guess I would give the edge to Odin because he has had the production.
I would agree with that. But also, besides his rookie year, BJ Hill has not been given the opportunity to really play at a consistent rate of even getting like over 50% of the snaps.
No.
So this is such a, it's crazy how, lo and behold, Lorenzo Carter started to click when he got over 90% of the snaps. Shocker. When you give a guy snaps on the field and he's somewhat talented, he's going to produce for you. It's not a bad thing to have a rotation, but when evaluating players, it's always important, especially defensive players. And it's such a production driven position like edge rusher. It's important to look at the snap share, and it's important to look up what they did within the opportunities that they were given.
Like RJ McIntosh.
Boom. There you go. Good problem. I mean, we talked about a good problem kind of that the Giants have at the tight end room. I think this is a little bit of a better problem because it's not like Evan Ingram.
No, you don't have to. You rotate this position a little more.
He's like a little bit of a net negative, where this is purely a rotation. So cool.
Want to know a fun fact about Odin?
Yeah,
he has sacked both New York Giants quarterbacks, Daniel Jones and Daniel Jones' new backup, Mike Glennon. The Giants signed Mike Glennon, maybe my best transition of all time.
Oh yeah.
Before we get into who Glennon is, and everyone's already got their kind of idea of who Glennon is, so we're not going to break down Glennon too much. This contract is beautiful.
Yeah.
This is a beautiful contract. It's 1 year, $1.35 million, and only $425,000 of it is guaranteed, and the rest is playing time incentives.
Really?
That's an insane contract that this guy got. Now, let me double check because you just made you looked at me like I'm stupid.
No. I heard the base salary. I did not pay attention to what the guaranteed was because typically for backup quarterbacks, the base salary you would think is kind of what they want guarantee wise because they know that they're not going to be playing the majority of the snaps. Maybe Mike Glennon's banking on Daniel Jones getting hurt.
Yeah, 425. Yeah. Shut up. $425,000. Additional $750,000 available in playing time incentives.
Sheesh.
Which is and Duggan points out Colt McCoy got $1 million more than that last year. Colt McCoy was making $2 million last year.
And Mike Glennon is a better quarterback than Colt McCoy.
Better
right?
arm talent. Yeah. I get that's fair. That's fair. I think there's kind of similar, but Glennon has the better arm talent. And let's talk about who Glennon is. Everyone knows him as a tall guy, long neck. I'm sure the long neck jokes get really annoying after a while, but you know what? The old long neck ass. It's your first time with us. I posted that giraffe picture, and that was kind of mean, but it is what it is. He's got arm talent, he can lace the ball downfield. He has some good ball placement. It's inconsistent. He's not mobile at all. So, if Jones goes down, there goes the read options. He's a good backup,
Yeah.
The Chicago Bears paid him a lot of money at one point, which was crazy. But it's like they saw something in this guy to pay him that money.
It's crazy how he only started it was his rookie year.
With Tampa. I loved him in Tampa. He was a fun watch in Tampa.
He was.
When they moved on from Freeman, because Greg Schiano just hated Josh Freeman, and they gave Glennon playing time, and then the year before they got Jameis, it was a mix of Glennon and McCown.
There's no complaints on this. So here's the only fear I want Daniel Jones to be playing 16 games, but the only, here's the fear if Mike Glennon ever enters a football game. I guess the benefit of Colt McCoy is he did a very good job of protecting the football. And Mike Glennon in years, especially this year with Jacksonville, interceptions were a little high.
Yeah,
That's the fear.
he's gonna take chances that Colt McCoy is not gonna take. But on the opposite side of that, think about that Evan Ingram throw against Cleveland, where you have Evan Ingram for a touchdown.
Deion Lewis on third down.
Colt McCoy can't get it there. He can't get it there. Like he gets it behind and slow, and it's a deflection on third down.
Right.
Where Mike Glennon, that's a touchdown with Mike Glennon. And there may have been other shots that Mike Glennon would take that a Colt McCoy won't take. So, me and you have both been like, we don't need to spend a ton of money on our backup QB. We're not good enough to have the luxury of a good backup QB. So yeah, I mean, I think all fans should be thrilled with this, and Mike Glennon can play. And then they should draft a backup QB in the 6th round. Mike Glennon is a success story for that guy, So like if we were to draft some guy, if he turned out to have a Mike Glennon career, you'd be like, that's a success. If you draft a guy in the 6th round. So, I mean, you can't be mad at this.
I can't believe how low the contract is.
I know, it's insane. It's insane how low this contract is. I feel like the Staples commercial.
That's a low price.
I want to yell it so bad, but I don't want to be inconsiderate to wow, that's a low price.
Be inconsiderate to me who has to edit that after the show.
Have you ever done that in a store?
No, not really. When's the last time you've done it in a store? I feel like it was recently.
No. Wow, that's a low price. There's nothing that's cheap in the stores anymore. All right.
It's a goddamn economy.
In this economy? All right. Let's see. Anything else you got on Glennon?
No, fun.
All right. So the next signing and the last signing we're going to talk about on this episode. This one happened about an hour and a half before we were going to record. The Giants signed Reggie Ragland, 6'2", 252 pounds, 27 years old, Alabama guy. Spent a few years with the Chiefs and this past year with the Lions, signing him for the minimum, so $987,000, the minimum. When you look at him, what do you think, Justin?
When I look at him,
you look at his numbers, you see a couple highlights. What do you think Reggie Ragland's going to be?
Better than Devontae Downs.
Well, that.
Oh, I thought that's
people
where
are like, this
going.
guy's probably like a run stuffer. Like he's a run stuffer, probably not great in coverage.
6'2", 252. That's a beefy boy.
So that's what I went into. I watched one full game of film. I'll have a breakdown out soon. Against Washington, I went in with those preconceived notions, and to me, it's the exact opposite. He is good in coverage. Like he plays linebacker the way I like in coverage, where he turns his tone in the man coverage. Like he plays aggressive. He doesn't just sit in the spot with his feet in the mud and let wide receivers run in front of him, behind him. He goes with guys. He takes chances. So I love that in his zone coverage. As a pass rusher, pretty good. He hasn't had the sacks in his career, but like some pretty good moves as a pass rusher with speed. But I'll say now, maybe this was the one game, the outlier in all of this that I watched. In the run game, I'm not a big fan. He doesn't do a good job getting over the top of blocks. Once he is engaged on a block, he doesn't get off of them, and he doesn't play it super aggressive. So I don't love him in the run game, but with the role the Giants are looking next to Blake Martinez, and good coaching, that can change where it's like, hey, hit this gap and hit this gap fast, So this is a why not signing, but two, it's like I do think he'll come in and compete with Tay Crowder.
Also, salary less than $1 million. So again, another. I'm not always like the biggest on the money, but the money's important this offseason with the limited cap space and the fact that the Giants are making all these moves with still the presumption that we're going to be getting Kenny Golladay. So first of all, fun thing. Pro Football Reference, Pro Baseball Reference, the sports reference umbrella always loves to give strange nicknames to players that I'm definitely 100% sure nobody's ever called them in their entire life. Reggie Ragland, he has a nickname of General Ragland. I am 100% certain that 0 people have called him that.
I saw that in my mentions though, so maybe some people have called him that.
Well, it's because Pro Football Reference calls him that. They made
Alabama
it up.
connection. So yeah, I
have thoughts. I have more thoughts. I have more thoughts about the value of the signing.
well, I was going to talk about the signing. I was going to talk about him too, but go ahead.
Okay. So, because I want to open the door for you. This is what we call in the podcast business. I just made up the term, opening the door for your co-host that knows more than you. Because then if you said something and then you asked me a question, I would have had to explain it. I don't know. So again, I'm looking at the snap share. I'm looking at the snap counts. 2020, he's played 50% of snaps. That was the highest in his career. 2018 with Kansas City, played 49%. So this is a guy that, seemingly we're bringing in. And, he's not purely a special teamer. He's not even a special team player. Like he played his highest special team total in 2019 was with Kansas City, 36 special team snaps, 9% of the total special team snaps. So he's not even a special teams player. Like he is a linebacker. So it's not like we're bringing in David Mayo and we're hoping he can transform into something substantial. And we're definitely not bringing in Devontae Downs, who is just slow and sluggish and can't do anything right. Right. So this guy has experience at linebacker. Upgrade over David Mayo, Devontae Downs. Would you say yes? Definitely over Devontae Downs. Do you consider him an upgrade over David Mayo? And
Yeah,
I definitely do. I definitely do think that him and Tay Crowder can go well together, because if they view Tay Crowder maybe not ready to take the full interior linebacker 2 job yet, especially with him playing in coverage, Tay Crowder can be aggressive, going crazy like a madman on first and second down. And then you bring this guy in on third down when you're not running with 3 safety sets. Thoughts?
I give Crowder the reps over him, but he is better than David Mayo. Anybody's better than Devontae Downs. I mean anybody.
Can we put that on a shirt? We can't put people's names on a shirt, but if we could.
What is Devontae Downs going to sue? I think he should spend his money better.
Wow.
Yeah, so I think Tay Crowder should play over him, but third inside linebacker, good stuff. Put him next to Blake Martinez. And speak of putting him next to, Matt Patricia is a moron. He's not a good defensive mind. So I was watching the film. Jamie Collins. Jamie Collins was a wish list for your free agency.
Doing flips. Year. Athletic freak.
In fact, it was kind of funny. Collins wears 58 and Ragland wears 59. And I was watching. At first, I thought Ragland was Collins. I was like, this guy's a freaking freak. I was like, this guy got the minimum. But anyways, Matt Patricia just had Jamie Collins just playing regular inside linebacker like Blake Martinez would.
No.
What a horrible coach Matt Patricia is. I know. And so now we're talking about Kenny Golladay again. Albert Breer, who I do like Albert Breer, he's usually a pretty reasonable guy. He's like, don't expect Kenny Golladay and the Giants to get something, and basically being like, because Joe Judge and Matt Patricia were on the same coaching staff at one point. And then it's like, well, they're literally meeting, like they're putting a meeting. Like Kenny Golladay wants to go to the Giants. Kenny Galladay's putting everything off to get his chance with the Giants. And Albert Breer's like, but Joe Judge knows Matt Patricia. It's like they're two opposite players. Have you listened to the two talk? But Matt Patricia, man, what a dummy he is, man. He may be the worst head coach in the last in some time.
We talk about Joe Judge being a people person. It was clear that Matt Patricia was not a people person. Very clear.
No, horrible. And also, we got somebody came at me, and it was a good, a listener who's a good friendly friend of the show, because I said like Matthew Stafford gets way overhyped than what he is. As I've been going through Kenny Golladay stuff, it just rings even more true. Stafford misses dudes all the time, and he makes boneheaded throws all the time. Matt Stafford is not some like great quarterback. He's good. He's an above average quarterback. But this idea that he's a Hall of Fame quarterback that Detroit has just totally ruined his career, it's not true. Like Matt Stafford has a lot of flaws.
Bobby, we better get him.
We have to.
74%. I'm 74% certain. People are projecting, people meaning people 77%, the final answer. People are saying, many people, all the good people, Friday afternoon. if it's going to happen, it's going to be Friday afternoon.
Yeah. So make sure you listen to this episode before. I know you're listening to the very end, so it doesn't matter when I say this, but make sure you're listening to it before.
Make sure you go back in time and listen to it before the announcement.
Yes, of course. All right, Justin, do you have anything else?
No, this was fun. I thought this was a good episode. I'm going to ask for it again. I know we asked for it like last episode. I kind of want to get to 600. We're close to 600 ratings on the Apple Podcast app. We've been grinding all week. The best, like legitimately, like, you know, we plugged the Patreon, you know, whenever we have new people, and, you know, almost every episode. So thank you for doing that. But, you know, if you can't give to that, or if you don't want to give to that, you know, the best way you can support us is leaving a 5-star rating and review on the Apple Podcast app. So we've been grinding all week. It's been a lot of fun waiting for this news, reacting to the little signings and everything like that while we've been waiting for the big news. So keep it locked in. You know, we're going to get into April. It's going to be draft month soon, and we're going to get locked into that. So it's not going to stop. That's why I love the NFL.
And you guys got to get me the 10,000 on Twitter so I can shove it right on those baseball douchebags' faces at John Boy Media. Like, oh, race to 10,000. Big Baby David, Ashland, Keys. They're the ones who get to talk about. Guess what? Your boy's going to win because I freaking kick ass. That's what I freaking do. So make sure, get me the 10,000. I'm like 100 away. Get me there so I could just rub it in all those baseball losers' faces.
And they've been plugging it. They've been like posting. Big
Baby David. Ooh, I'm in leggings. How I'm quirky, and that gets promoted. How about Bobby doing a freaking potato launcher on the weekend? Can we talk about that? I feel like that's a little more engaging than Big Baby David's. Ooh, did leggings. And I know you're listening right now, Big Baby David. This is war. Yeah, I'm 100 away from the home stretch. I'm coming at you guys now.
We've been humble. We haven't said a
I've been
peep
the
about,
most humble.
We haven't said a peep about race to 10K. I asked politely today if they can update it since I went up to 5.5 from 5.4. Big day, big accomplishment. So yeah, we love you guys.
Baseball, suck it. All right, appreciate you guys. We'll see you. I hope we have our first ever weekend podcast. I really do. We appreciate
4 episodes in 1 week.
Hell yeah, brother. Hell yeah, brother. All right, we appreciate you guys. See you on the next one. Until then, let's go Big Blue.